Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Strategy Game Podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Shippey, and today we're going to be talking about the gift of asking why. So let's talk about the gift of asking why and why we need to do it. We need to make space for continuously asking the question why, because we will learn more about ourselves. We will evaluate our business model or our nonprofit model, and we will come to more realizations than we thought possible just with the simple gift of asking why. So we talk about this in the Strategy Masterclass e-course. Ash Mariah has a great framework. It's the Lean Business Model Canvas. And in it, he talks about really the 5 whys. So this process of unpacking and asking why 5 times when you have an issue or a problem or something that you're trying to solve or figure out. And I promise you, if you write why 5 times on a piece of paper and you answer it every question, you will peel back the layers of the onion to the deepest layer until you get to the core, and you will then understand what it is that you need to know. So let me just give you a couple of questions to ask that will begin to prompt your brain to think through this, because you're probably thinking, okay, yeah, that's great, but does it really work? Why do you charge the price that you charge for your offering? Why do you market the way you market? Choosing specific channels, specific content that you're developing, really telling your story. Is it resonating with your audience? All of those things. Why do you use the systems and platforms that you use in your business? Are there better systems and platforms that you could use or that you could upgrade to? Why do you pursue specific channels in terms of your marketing? And are there any that you need to add or adapt? How about your team? Why is each person on your team in the role that they're in? And is it right for them? Do you need to make any adjustments or tweaks? I could keep asking questions over and over and over again. And I can tell you, this is basically what I do for a living. So I work with businesses to ask all of these questions and evaluate the answers and move all of the pieces around like a Rubik's Cube until they all align with each other, right? So that's the same thing that we do in the marketing engine. So we ask all of these questions and we drill down on exactly who they're serving, and we figure out how they're going to serve them and reach them really intentionally. So when we make space to ask why, it leads to evaluation and it leads to realization. And when we ask why on the things that we're taking for granted, we open up space to consider new ways. So what haven't you asked why about recently? And what do you need to ask why about now? Has it been a while? This will help you evaluate and audit your business on your own. So it's really important to ask these why questions, because it allows us to have new realizations, new thoughts, new light bulb moments on what shifts we need to make to get everything in alignment, just like that Rubik's Cube example I gave you. So new and different ways from whatever it is, your industry standard, right? Best practices, how things are always done. Well, why do they need to be done that way? Is there a different way that you could do them? So I'm encouraging you to step outside of the box and challenge any kind of automatic thought patterns that you have. And this could be in your life or your business. So is there anything that you just assume about yourself or assume about someone else or assume about your team that maybe you don't need to assume, but you need to ask why and unpack that a little bit to figure out if that assumption is actually correct or if you need to adjust something, right? This could also be in an area of your business. So why do we market that way? Why do we charge the price we do? Why do we have the offering structured the way we do? Are there any tweaks that we need to make in order to make space for new things to come in, right? And so this is really blue ocean strategy. And this is what we talk about a lot in the Strategy Masterclass, where we go through the business map that gives you the 6 steps you need to be able to unpack your ideal business model and execute on it. So it's the opportunity to create a business model that is unique, nothing like the competitors in the market. So make space to ask yourself why today. And I want you to write down a list of things that you consider standards or best practices or things you do on autopilot, and ask yourself why, because there might be a different way. There might be a better way to create more revenue, cut expenses, increase efficiency, and the list goes on and on and on. And so your business is like a Rubik's Cube. That's what I want you to remember today. And as an entrepreneur, when you iterate and you shift those tiles around, you discover that the convergence of factors working together becomes your secret sauce. In other words, if you ask yourself these questions and you don't avoid asking why because you don't like the answer, you're afraid to ask the question, you're afraid to challenge the status quo, you miss out on opportunities. Don't miss out today. Ask yourself why. For more, head to www.storywork.co. Thanks so much for listening.